The soul's mind itself was now complete. Everything had been solved, except he still had a lingering thought. What about Dementine? He had achieved everything he had here, but the planet he came from was still in shambles, even after he had formed his rebellion. This thought lay dormant for the longest time, but the soul decided it was finally time to act on this. He was going to save Dementine once and for all. His first form of action was to make his way back to the planet, which would be easier said than done. He got some help from his followers, attempting to remake the ship he had used to leave Dementine in the first place. Everything was coming together, and the ship was soon finished. A nearby power source would be connected to the shuttle, starting the ship's engine for takeoff. The soul then boarded on, beginning his journey back to the world of untruths. The trip took months, but he kept himself occupied. He brought as many trinkets as he could pack, and he was finally going to see his family again after so long. They were probably very worried for him after all. Finally, after 3 months of travel, the ship made its way into the atmosphere of Dementine. The shuttle landed slowly and he boarded himself out. He had to be quiet here though, as if the rulers heard he was back, he would be done for. He slowly but surely made his way to his family's old home. After a lengthy walk, there he was, at the doorstep of his childhood. The former darkness of this planet seemed to be fake all of a sudden, as it almost seemed peaceful. He knocked on the door, awaiting a response. To his surprise, his mother was still there. She welcomed him into open arms, crying as she finally saw her long-lost boy again. The soul would tell her about his journey and how much he had gained over the past years. Everything was slowly coming together again, except something was missing. His father. When he had asked, his mother went silent. He figured the worst had happened as his mother slowly slipped into tears. He sat down, feeling himself sink into his heart as he hadn't been there for his father's final days. He mourned, but he knew he was going to avenge his death, the death of every person here. He got up, telling his mother about the plan to save Dementine. She warned her son about the risks, but the soul wasn't going to give up. Not this easily. After a few days spent with his mother, he made his way out into the city, finding out that nothing had truly changed here. The hierarchy were making their rounds, punishing and killing anyone they deemed a light threat. The soul had to lay low, as he couldn't be seen like this. He found a small hiding spot near an abandoned building, making his way to it. As he sat and tried to form a plan, he realized how near impossible this was. How was he, as one man, going to stop an entire ruling of a planet? Everything suddenly seemed lost, as he couldn't figure out which side to choose. His inner conflict began. Should he try this, or should he just give up and go home? The soul's mind-ridden war would commence. He sat inside this building for hours on end, thinking about anything he could to put into fruition. It was at this very moment a guard stumbled upon his presence. The soul jolted up as he tried to escape, but it was too late. The guard chained him to his pod as he took him off to wherever hell they were off to. Hours passed, and the soul found himself at his home. His mother was outside, fearing for her life as numerous Dementine guards surrounded their home. The soul pleaded for mercy, begging them not to do anything to her. The guards simply stood there, drawing their pistols as they all aimed for his mom's head. A loud bang was heard, but only for a moment. The soul dropped to his knees as he saw his mother's body fall to the ground, now limp and lifeless. He screamed in a fit of rage as the guards held him down, preparing to ship him off to the prisons. He sat inside his empty cell, staring outside the barred windows. His only blood left, his mother, was gone, and it was all his fault. If he hadn't tried to come back, she would still be here. He began to reminisce about the memories, wishing to reconcile with her once more. The soul began to draw pictures from his childhood within the dust of the walls, trying to form any memory he could. This would go on for days, making no progress to find inner light. That's it, his inner light. All of this was to save Dementine. He couldn't give up. Not here, not ever. He rose, looking down at his hands as he crumbled them into powerful fists. He gritted his teeth as he began to punch at the walls, slowly cracking them open. He had learned so much within his new life, and he was finally putting it to use here. He punched harder and harder, his bloody knuckles cracking open the wall bit by bit. Before he knew it, the structure crumbled, freeing the soul from his confines. He fought his way through the complex as guards went down one by one, each feeling a taste of his inner wrath. He grew closer to divinity as he made his way outside the complex, taking on everything he could. It was now himself against the world. He had to win. The fight officially started as the soul rounded up his old supporters, all the way back from his first rebellion. They were eager to fight for him once more, and this time, he had experience. The Fellowship was larger than ever, now bordering the numbers of the Dementine hierarchy. They sent all of their troops and guards out, and a fight for the ages would ring out. The soul marched his way into their core, disabling them from within. The planetary complex would be the final resort, as it housed the Dementine hive mind, the very thing that controlled this planet's ecosystem. It was said that thousands of years ago, it was made to house agony and pain, hence why the planet had been like this for so long. The soul journeyed his way into the complex, laying eyes upon the large machine. It housed millions of wires and memories, all controlling the very fabric of everything evil. His fist engorged itself in flame as he shouted out loud, slamming his very being into the core. For a brief moment, there was silence. Then, darkness. The soul slowly woke up, seeing the destroyed hive mind in front of him. He headed outside the complex, seeing if anything was different. He saw his rebellion all lined up against the outside of the building. He noticed there were no more Dementine soldiers, and how the sky was slowly turning to a shade of purple, then magenta, then yellow. He had never seen a sunset so beautiful on this planet. He looked down, noticing how green and lush the grass was becoming. Finding a perfect perch, he took a seat on the new blanket of hope. Flowers began to bloom as he smiled, breathing in the beginning of a new life. He slowly rummaged through his pockets, finding the ring of light. He forgot he had packed it with him, and how much its journey meant in the long run. He tossed it to the side, no longer needing this old form of hope. This new world had begun forming before his very eyes, and it was everything he had ever needed. This was the final reign.